So today we are talking about the Canon EOS R5 and the EOS R6. And while I know that this topic has been beaten to death on YouTube, I actually like sifting through all of the different videos on this topic to see everyone's opinion on the R5 and the R6 and where their head's at in terms of which camera they're looking to acquire for their business or just for personal use. Because the thing of it is that everyone has a different background and they have different experience, and really you guys just might be able to relate more to where I'm at with my photography and my video work, and the information that I'm about to give you might help you in some way. I apologize if this footage looks a little bit weird. It's only because I'm shooting at a slower shutter speed than I really should be, but the reason is that I don't want those lights in the back to be flickering. So let me know if this is too distracting with all of the motion in the footage. So like I said, I want to share my thoughts on the R5 and the R6 and really where my head's at in terms of which one I would like to acquire as my primary camera, and I will then be shifting the EOS R to my secondary camera. So if you get the R5, you're going to be able to shoot in 8K RAW and up to 120 frames per second in 4K, and none of this is cropped. It's also likely that you're going to be getting a high megapixel sensor, so something that's over 40 megapixels. So you're going to be getting a lot of detail in those photos. So with that high megapixel sensor, you're really going to be able to take advantage of those RF lenses that you just acquired. But the two reasons that I just mentioned about the R5 and why it's so awesome are also the same reasons that are pushing me towards the R6. So if you're going to be shooting in 8K RAW or 4K at 120 frames per second, you're really going to have to make sure that you have the necessary storage to handle those file sizes. So if you're going to be shooting an 8K lot or even at 4K at higher frame rates, especially in 10-bit, you're probably going to be the most comfortable with a CF Express card that has a terabyte in storage. And then you would need a matching 1 terabyte UHS-2 SD card, and those get expensive too. But the CF Express card is going to be really expensive. So on top of those additional costs for your Canon EOS R5, you're going to have to make sure that you have the necessary hardware to even edit in 4K or no, 8K. And also, you're going to need to make sure that you have enough storage for your computer. So whether that means that you have enough internal SSD storage in your computer, if you have external SSDs that you can edit off of. I'm currently editing on a 15-inch MacBook Pro that was produced in 2016. And I'm not really sure if that is going to be sufficient to edit in 8K. And honestly, when I had a D850 and I was shooting photos with I think it had a 45 megapixel sensor, shooting in the highest resolution for that camera made it a pain to edit those photos in Lightroom. So the reason that I'm leaning more towards the R6 is because it has a lot of the same features as the R5, and it has the features that I want in the R5. Things like in-body image stabilization, so that's really nice to have because when you're hiking or backpacking, this probably applies to backpacking more, but it's so much easier not having to carry a tripod. So if we get up really early in the morning to try to reach a summit by sunrise, one, I'm not going to have that extra weight of the tripod, and two, it's so much easier being able to rely on the image stabilization in your lens or in your camera body, or in the case of the R6 and the R5, in conjunction with the lens and the camera body, in order to take a sharp picture without having to take the time to set up the tripod. Because that's the thing, you can take so many more shots and get so many different compositions while you're kind of racing against the rising sun and also continuing to hike. So it's definitely something that is important to me for that reason. And also, if I'm doing video work and I'm in a situation where I don't have as much time to set up a tripod or a slider or something like that, then being able to use that in-body stabilization can be a lifesaver. Also, another big one is the dual card slots. I've been kind of getting by with the EOS R and the one card slot, and I feel pretty comfortable with not losing my footage, but you never know. It's always safe to have that redundancy. What else? There's no crop in 4K. That's a big one. Although with the 15 to 35 RF lens, it's been, and that's what I'm shooting on right now, but it's been pretty easy to work around that crop for 4K work. It will be nice to have the ability to shoot in 10-bit internally. Right now I use the Atomos Ninja V to do that, to get the most out of the Canon EOS R, but if I was able to do that internally, then there would be a lot more situations where I don't have as much time to set up my Atomos on my camera, or say I'm shooting with a gimbal and I'm moving around a lot. Sometimes it's a pain to use the Atomos with the gimbal. So it'll be nice to have that option to shoot in 10-bit internally. But I probably will still use the Atomos external monitor a lot, because I do like working with the ProRes files when I'm doing the editing. It also looks like the R6 is going to have the same high resolution electronic viewfinder as the R5, which is awesome, because usually you don't get that when you have a higher end camera. So it kind of looks like Canon is moving away from sacrificing a lot of those higher end features in their lower end bodies. Two more things. The Canon R6 will be able to shoot in 5K, oversampled 5K. So that's just one more feature that's exciting about the R6. Also, even though it's going to be a 20 megapixel camera, to me, that's the perfect file size for delivering to clients. So like I said before, when I was shooting with a high resolution D850 with Nikon, I was setting it to medium raw anyways, which gave me around the same quality as a 20 or 24 megapixel sensor. So shooting with a 20 megapixel camera is kind of perfect for me anyways, because it's easier to work with, like I said, with editing and delivering to clients. And hopefully having a lower megapixel camera like that will allow us to get better low light capabilities with photography and video work. So that pretty much sums up why I'm looking to acquire the R6 instead of the R5. To me, the R5 seems like it might be a good purchase, maybe like a year or two after it's released. But right now, the R6 is looking like a better buy to me. If you guys have any questions, or you just want to share your thoughts on these two cameras, let me know in the comments section. Like this video and subscribe to the channel to get more information on video work and photography and the Canon EOS R line in general.